What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Poke Office. My name is Colin. Here's what I've been seeing in the Pokemon space lately. Do you remember the meme where it's like the guy with the cash and it's like, take my money? I don't even know what show that's from, which I should, but I don't. Anyways, that is what's happening in Pokemon right now. There is people who have been saving their pennies and people with lots of money who are just like begging for Pokemon to release a good Pokemon set. The last two have been a little bit underwhelming, with Shrouded Fable not having a huge chase card. Stellar Crown, the Terapagos, is a chase card, I guess, but small set. Surging Sparks is coming up, and we're seeing this like mass influx of people pre-ordering and getting hyped about Pokemon again, because 2025, I've said it so many times already, 2025 in the Pokemon space is going to be absolutely huge. Got the Eevee high class set coming out in Japanese, which means that it's going to come out early 2025 in English. Then Battle Partners Japanese. Then the Team Rocket set, which, it's going to be the biggest thing since sliced bread, basically. But it's creating this dynamic in the Pokemon space that it's interesting, and I have some questions. But before we get into it, hey, can you do me a real solid? If you do like my content, can you please hit the like button for me? It really helps out a lot. And if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. And I come out with 3 videos every week, plus a live stream most weeks. So it's a good time. Join the Poke Office Discord. We all just are a good community that like talking about and nerding out about Pokemon cards. Okay, here's the thing. We've been seeing this strange phenomenon lately where we just had a Paldea Evolved restock. We just had a little bit of restock of 151 and Temporal Forces, and we're seeing something different in the activity of Pokemon buyers and Pokemon investors. See, like when I got into the hobby, it wasn't a bad thing for a new set to come out and then you wait for like 3 to 6 months before buying it, because you kind of let the prices drop, and then all of a sudden, okay, now's a good time to buy some booster boxes of this set. Now, in Scarlet and Violet era so far, booster boxes have been ridiculously cheap out of the gate. Like Scarlet and Violet base set's still a $90 to $95 booster box, which is amazing. Paldea Evolved, you could get it for under $100 for sure. Obsidian Flames, you could get it for under $100. Twilight Masquerade at the start was not an exciting set. You could get it for under $100. I bought a case of Paradox Rift for so cheap. I think it was $800 Canadian shipped to my door, which is the cheapest case I've ever bought of Pokemon. Temporal Force is also cheap. And now, less than a year for some of these sets, and just over a year for some of these sets, if you bought a case of Paldea Evolved for $90 per booster box, so what's that, 9 times 6? $540 per case. You have made some serious money. You've made 20 to 30% on your investment. If you did that with Twilight Masquerade, like I'm looking pretty smart for buying 5 cases of Twilight Masquerade when they were dirt cheap right at the start. And it seems like there's this movement of, instead of waiting for 3 to 6 months, we want, as Pokemon investors or Pokemon collectors or buyers, buy up front, because this is when the cases are going to be the cheapest. And that's where we bring in this new phenomenon of what's going to make Pokemon go absolutely boom-tastic, is pre-orders for Surging Spark are through the roof. We've seen reports of it. Alex at Nostalgianomics made a really good video the other day talking about, he talks with this guy, Pokemart USA. They're not getting enough allocation. The pre-orders are too big. The pre-orders are too many for lots of these stores. And I talked to the guy that I buy from. I'm trying to buy 5 cases of Surging Sparks. And he's like, oh, I can guarantee you 4. But the 5th one, I'm not 100% sure about my allocations yet. This just happened as I'm recording this video. I just had that conversation with him. So stores all across, I'm in Canada. Most of you are in America. So like all across North America, let's say, I'm not sure what's happening in other parts of the world. There's this resurgence of people buying early, buying in, excited to spend their money about a new Pokemon set. And that's has me thinking about a couple of questions. I have 3 of them, actually. So my first question is Surging Sparks actually going to be a good Pokemon set? And I think we all know the answer, but let's talk about it for a little bit. Like, Shrouded Fable was a very underwhelming set, And it just bugs me so much that the Golden Earthen Vessel is the best, most valuable card out of Shrouded Fable. That just hurts. As a collector and a lover of Pokemon, an item card should not be the top card in a set. That just is not right. It's not right. And there's some good illustration rares. I mean, the special illustration rares aren't my favorite in that set, but the illustration rares are really good. It's tough. The Cassiopeia is a pretty cool card too. A hyper rare Earthen Vessel. I got some hate for saying that the other video, where it's like, well, yeah, it's really important to the TCG. Yeah, it's a great card. Don't get me wrong. I like it. It just shouldn't be in a collectible card game. An item card, whether it's gold or not, should not be the top card in a set. But that's a spicy take for another day. Surging Sparks. Is it going to be good? Then we had Stellar Crown, which arguably is okay, but it's a small set, and it doesn't have me like wanting to continue to open it. It feels like a set where I had some fun with it. Am I going to turn back to Stellar Crown 3 years from now? Probably I'm going to turn to other sets first before Stellar Crown. Surging Sparks comes out, and spoiler alert, we're going to look at some of the leaks of the cards. So if you haven't seen this and don't want to, skip ahead. Starting off with some of the illustration rares, most of these are from Paradise Dragona, but some from Super Electric Breaker are coming out. So the box I opened of Paradise Dragona, I pulled the Execute, which is a pretty cool card. I mean, this Phoebus is, I think, from Super Electric Breaker. Pretty sure. Not 100%. Skarmory, that looks pretty cool. I like the Doug Trio. That looks pretty awesome as well. The Latias card. Braviary, I think, is an absolutely awesome looking card. So some really cool illustration rares. Then we come down here, we got the ultra rares, and they're fine. They're pretty similar to what we've been seeing in ultra rare cards so far in Scarlet and Violet era. But then here's some of the bigger ones. So these ones just kind of got leaked a day or two ago. So we got the Milotic. I think this card looks really, really cool. I think when it's shining in your hand, sparkling, I think it's going to look absolutely epic. The Pikachu, I'm not convinced that I like it yet. It's an interesting one. I don't mind Pikachu with the stellar hat on, but I don't know. It's okay, though. I want to see it in person because it could be better. The Latias card, a pretty cool one. I'm pretty disappointed that they didn't include the Latios as well. And I think I just called the Latias a Latios or Latios or Latias up top in the illustration rare. I wish they would have done 2 special illustration rares rather than just one. The Archaludon, not my favorite Pokemon in the world, and it's just, I mean, I guess it's doing an earthquake, so kind of makes sense. Not my favorite card. I am excited to see this Alolan Executor, though. I think that looks really cool. And I'm not sure, but I'm assuming there's going to be some more coming out because not all of the cards from Super Electric Breaker have been released yet because the set's not out yet. Then we have the Drayton, which is the card I pulled out of Paradise Dragona. Not a bad card. And then we have Lycia's Appeal, which is the biggest card out of Paradise Dragona so far. So I think this set is turning out to be a really good set. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. Do you actually think that Surging Sparks is going to be a good set? I'm hoping that it's a big one. Typically, from my perspective, the bigger the Pokemon set, the more chase cards it has, the better the Pokemon set is. And I think that kind of rings true for lots of sets. Twilight Masquerade is a decently sized set. Paldea Evolved is a really big set. Then I think the ones that I don't particularly like, Obsidian Flames, is a small set. Shrouded Fable not doing that good. Small specialty set. Okay, question number 2 I have is, with this resurgence of people coming to the Pokemon space, are they actually going to stay in the Pokemon space, or is it going to be another like one and done where they get into Surging Sparks and then they leave again? I think it's going to be a longer term thing, but I mean, I'm just speculating, of course, because we saw it during COVID where lots of people came back into the Pokemon space. And my perspective of that, we saw lots of people come in, and then it slowly bleeds out over time, but this is still way higher than where it started. And then we had it with 151, where a huge spike, and are more people into Pokemon cards after 151 than before 151? I don't know the answer to that. It sure felt like people were really excited about Pokemon cards right before Scarlet and Violet 151. right after Scarlet and Violet 151, and now as time has gone on, it's kind of slowly went down again. So I don't know. Does it take a good set to bring people back into Pokemon? Is that the reason? Is it the reason people flooded into the market for 151 because of the nostalgia and because it was a good Pokemon set? Or was it just nostalgia? And now, is the reason they're leaving because the sets have been lackluster? Or is that just the ebbs and flows of a collectible hobby where, hey, I'm going to buy some Pokemon cards right now. I'm not that excited about it anymore. I have other things to do with my life. Oh, I just opened a pack of Pokemon cards. That was really fun. I should get back into this. Is that what's happening? Or is it to do with a good set? And with Surging Sparks, with this resurgence of Sparks, resurgence of people coming into the Pokemon space, are people going to stay? That's a big question that I have. The other thing I would say, we've already talked about it in the video, but with the upcoming sets, I think people are going to stay. I think this is just the beginning, and I made a video about it probably a couple weeks ago. Surging Sparks, actually Stellar Crown is the beginning. Stellar Crown was starting to get people back into the hobby, and there's some new gimmicks like the stellar hats that Pokemon wear, the rainbow borders, and then we have Surging Sparks coming, and people are getting really excited about that. People are pre-ordering it like crazy, and then it just goes whack with the Eevee set, with the Battle Partner set, with the Team Rocket set. I mean, it's just Scarlet and Violet era is just absolutely crushing it. There's no question about it in my mind. So are people going to see that and stay with it? My last question for the video is this. Is it now better to buy Pokemon cards early rather than wait a couple months? And I'm not talking about the single cards. I'm talking about the sealed product. I've always said, I remember I made a video. It actually performed quite well. My headline was like, investing is super easy. Because my whole premise is that you just buy early and then set it and forget it. Because you take the timing, you take the guesswork, you take everything out of the equation. You just know, hey, I'm going to buy a little bit of every set and then hold it, which is what I do. I churn and burn some too, but I definitely have some that I'm just holding. So is that the right play now? For a long time, I watched videos where it's like, nah, you can make way better plays than just buying Pokemon cards early. You can go continue buying Sword and Shield boxes and make money quick. But with Scarlet and Violet era, that seems like it's flipping that upside down. We talked about it already a little bit. Paldea Evolved, if you bought that set early, you made some money. You made 20 to 30% in a year. No one is complaining about 20 to 30% on your money in a year. Twilight Masquerade has been less than a year, and I've made like 40% on my money if I was to sell my booster boxes. I know that I haven't actually made that money, but my value gained in my spreadsheet based on what I paid for my boxes and what they're worth today is a 40% gain in value. Like, it seems like Pokemon space is changing, which leads me to a kind of follow-up question. Is the prices going to stay cheap for Pokemon? Ever since I've been in the hobby, it feels like you can always buy the new booster box for $90 or $100 US. Always. Surging Sparks, they're canceling pre-orders. This is how many people are into this. People and stores are canceling pre-orders because they're not getting enough allocation to meet all of the demand for Surging Spark. So, ultimately, I mean, I'm no economics major, but if demand is really high and supply is really low, the price is going to go up. That's just economics 101. So is this a new wave of Pokemon buying? Are booster boxes actually going to see like a normal TCG markup right out of the gate? Because right now, when you're buying a booster box for $90 US, that store is not making very much money. They're not making very much money. There's the few that have really good deals with the distributor, but if you're just buying from a local game store for a $90 or $100 booster box, it takes a lot to keep a store running with the electricity, and if they have a bricks and mortar store, they're not making much money on the one booster box. They're making maybe like 10%, maybe 15%. But then you got to pay credit card fees and all that stuff. They're not making much off your one booster box, which is crazy that there is Pokemon stores. It's just because people love the hobby so much, because the markup is not that good for the store. Anyways, is that going to change? Are we going to start seeing Pokemon sets start at $120 rather than $90? It could happen. MSRP on these things is $163. If you go on Pokemon Center right now and go buy a booster box, you're paying MSRP. If you go to GameStop or Walmart or lots of other local game stores that need to pay the bills, they're charging a lot more than $100 or $90 for a booster box. So is that going to start seeing a change? Honestly, it wouldn't be the worst thing for Pokemon. Obviously, as consumers, it wouldn't be great because it just means that your price per pack to open is going to get way more expensive. But that's just the way the economy is right now, too. People, businesses need to stay alive. And Pokemon is really hot right now, especially with this new Surging Spark stuff. Those are my 3 questions. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of the rant and ramble. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. No packs opened today. We'll be back on Monday, ready to open up some packs and talk more Pokemon. Appreciate all your support. My name's Colin. This is the Poke Office. I'll see you next time. Peace!